Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach, and today I'm going to be unboxing Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 2. So, I've really got into Unmatched with the Cobble and Fog version, and I've just been really interested in finding or looking at the other characters, and I think, if I remember right, this was kind of one of the other main boxes, especially with 4 characters, that a lot of people recommended. I think there's some were recommending the Volume 1 as well, and maybe someday we will get that one. We'll have to see. But actually, in this one, I think I've only heard of Achilles, and then Bloody Mary, in a way. But the full history of all of them and everything, the full extent, I probably don't know that well. But the Sun Wukong and Yennenga, I have no idea what those 2 characters are from, but I assume they are legends. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what these all have to offer. I believe 3 out of the 4 have some sidekicks that they work with in various different ways, which is always, I think the cool thing about all these is, especially if you know the characters and stuff, or know kind of some of the history and stuff, I think a lot of the cards and how they actually work kind of makes sense according to their individual characters, which I find just really, really cool, really thematic. And this game is typically, from the plays I've had, quite quick. So that's another thing I really like, that you could definitely have, 3 matches within probably, depending on how quickly, probably an hour to 2 hours. You could probably do like 3 totally different matchups and do a best 2 out of 3 type thing. But yeah, so then we have the rule book here. I think from what I've seen, I think the rule books are all pretty similar, but I think each one kind of explains some of the things about the individual characters themselves. But it's usually, I think they're pretty clear. It's pretty consistent from game to game. There's definitely some changes, but it's a pretty consistent system from game to game, with just some changes here and there. So it looks like this one is actually a map. It's double-sided, but it looks like the map is actually the same map. Maybe? Yeah, I think it might be the same map. This one has the easy to see colors, at least from what I can see. I'm not sure how colorblind friendly this is, but I think also I can barely tell. It seems like sometimes, like if I'm just trying to imagine if I couldn't actually see the colors, how well I would be able to see. Like, I think each color does have a different kind of font or background inside of it, so it's nice that they include that. But I always wonder how easy that is to see, because it's very light. It's a very light touch to each one of them. But I prefer this type compared to like this. It's a very similar thing, it looks like, on this side, but it's just the rings. I feel like it's a little bit harder to see, personally. So I think I'll probably always be using this side. But it looks like also, I think they added some things for this one where there's like some high ground advantage type thing. So that'll be an interesting new thing that I have not tried before. Then we've got, like in all the Unmatched games, you've got the different dials. This is just one of the things I really like about Unmatched, is the artwork they use for the dials and also the cards. And also I really like the miniatures in the Unmatched games. But I think they always choose some really good looking colors, I feel. And they do some really good combinations of colors as well, so once you have your dials put together, they look really good, I think. And then, so we get in here, we've got these little buttons to kind of put your health dials together. Then it looks like we've got all the sidekick characters, which are chips, which I find to be really, they're plastic chips. I find them to be really nice. myself. I like the look of these. I feel like they're easy to see on the board, and the artwork on them is usually pretty. I think it's definitely more of a brighter color compared to like when you're looking at the gray characters miniatures. They definitely are a lot lighter than the characters, but they're very easy to tell apart as to which sidekick they are. I really like them. I know some people I think they make miniatures of some of the sidekicks, but I think I do like the chip version as well. So then we've got the decks. So if you haven't played Unmatched before, each deck is built differently for each character. So I think there are cards in some of them that like appear over and over, like similar cards like that, but a good number of the cards are different based on whichever character you are currently using. So this would be for Sun Wukong, and he has looks like 3 different clones that he works with, and they're both melee fighters. At the start of your turn, you may take 1 damage to summon a clone in an empty space adjacent to Sun Wukong. Do not start with any clones on the board. So, yeah, each character kind of has a different starting or special ability that they have, and then each of their decks is also customized specifically for that character, which is kind of where you'll see, like, if you do know some of the history of the character or know things about them, that's where you start to see, like, oh yeah, that makes sense for that character, and to differentiate them compared to some of the other characters. But this is also some of the artwork that I just really, really, really like. It's I don't even know what I would compare it to. Like it looks similar from deck to deck, but at the same time, decks don't look similar. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just some really, really great artwork. And I like that. I like that you do have cards that are the same. So there's 4 of these cards in the deck. So you're gonna have that ability. And I think I'm definitely not that skilled of an Unmatched player, not even close. But I do know there are people out there that definitely know their Unmatched really well, know the entire deck front to back. So I think this is definitely a game that, with more plays, it becomes better and better. Unless you really don't like it to begin with, I don't know that it'll all of a sudden become better. But it is one of those that, as you know what's in a character's deck and kind of how the cards work, you kind of can develop a strategy pre-game, and then it'll kind of just depend on what you actually get in your hand, because there's a chance that you won't get those cards till the very end of your deck, or there's a chance you could get them early on. So there can be some strategy in it, but it's also, you gotta have to make do with what you have. So I really like that about the game. Yeah, and this is, like I said, one of them that I don't know anything about, Yennenga, and it looks like she does have a bow, so she is a ranged character. It looks like she's got some archers with her as well who are also ranged. If Yennenga would take damage, you may assign any amount of that damage to 1 or more archers in her zone instead. You may not assign more damage to an archer than their remaining health. So that would be interesting if you could assign more damage to an archer than their health, because then you could possibly avoid a huge hit that you would have taken. But it's still a pretty good ability, I think. From what I know, who knows? People that really know Unmatched might say, probably would know how strong these are. I know there's like tier lists out there and whatnot for each of the characters, kind of. So there are people that definitely know a lot about Unmatched. But yeah, just some solid artwork. Again, yeah, I just really like the look of all of this. Yeah, so this one's got more of a purple bluish look to it. A lot of the artwork, which is nice. Yeah, so that's everything in that deck. Looks like we got 2 more here. We got Bloody Mary yet, and then Achilles. So the 2 that I have heard of before. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to think of how Bloody Mary kind of seems different from the other three in a way. But yeah, she looks like she's a melee fighter. She does not have any sidekick like the other ones do. But at the start of your turn, if you have exactly 3 cards in hand, gain an action, which you don't have many. You only get a couple actions each turn, so having possibly a third action would be very helpful. Okay, now this one, these cards definitely have. And I feel like it kind of depends on the characters. I've kind of seen this, but these definitely have a very horror vibe to them, and I feel like some characters have that more than others. So I think depending on kind of which ones you're playing with, I could see this. I guess I'm not sure how easy this would be for young kids anyway, but I could see how some of these would be quite scary for kids. So I think that would just be something to note. But yeah, I mean, I still like it. I think that's part of it. I mean, even when they do some of these kind of scarier type artwork, I still really seem to like it in this game. I just don't know. There's something consistent about the artwork, but at the same time, not necessarily from character to character. But I just think I've liked pretty much everyone I've seen. So, last but not least, we've got Achilles' deck. And I'm sure some people would like to know exactly some of the names of some of these. Could probably be saying that, but there's so many different cards, makes it tough. But you got Achilles, who's a melee. Patroclus, I'm not exact. I totally butchered that. I have no idea. I don't know who that is. So, like I said, I don't know the history of these that well. But it looks like he's got that sidekick as well. But when his sidekick is defeated, you discard 2 random cards. While his sidekick is defeated, add +2 to the value of all of Achilles' attacks. And if Achilles wins a combat, draw a card. So you kind of want him to die in a way, and then Achilles becomes stronger. So that's an interesting little thing there. You got Achilles' heel. So that's probably the iconic thing Achilles is known for, I would say. I'm surprised that's one of his cards. If you lost combat, your opponent gains 1 action. So that could be pretty significant, but I mean, it's got a 4 shield, which is typically going to defend you pretty well most of the time. Yeah. Once again, a lot of solid artwork in my opinion. But yeah, you can kind of see too, if you've never played these, if they have sidekicks, usually there are cards with the main character and the sidekick, and you can, if you're going to use a specific, like the sidekicks card, you have to use it with, you have to be like attacking or whatever with that sidekick. So I like that about this game as well. And then some have like the any, so you can use either one for those. Yeah, some solid artwork. I honestly think overall for the sets that I've seen, it's probably some of my favorite artwork in a game for cards that out of a lot of my games, it'd probably definitely be in my top 10, possibly even top 5. I have to really go through the games I've played and kind of the artwork for those. We got, last but not least, we got the 4 miniatures here. So here's Bloody Mary, which is definitely the creepiest of them all. She's in the mirror, and you've got different faces coming out, and hands and legs. Just definitely a little creepier than the average one. And you've got the Sun Wukong, is that what his name was? Kind of balancing on a stick or staff, I think that he must have. Yeah, I really like the detail of all these. These miniatures are just so solid in my opinion. I just really love the look of them. I don't think if I was into painting miniatures, I don't even know if I don't know that I would. I suppose if I was really into painting miniatures, I probably would paint it, because I probably could make it look even better, even though it's already really solid. But I don't know that I would. These look really, really good, just the way they are, in my opinion. And you got Achilles just got his huge spear there, kind of looking at the ground, going to stab something. And he's got his cape flying up there, a shield. And he looks very good. So yeah, that is everything inside the Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 2 box. So yeah, it's just definitely another solid looking Unmatched game. I'm really excited to try out some of those characters for sure, and kind of see what they can do. See what if they can match up against the Invisible Man maybe, or possibly. I just also got the Jurassic Park T-Rex versus Dr. Sattler, so maybe have to take on Achilles versus T-Rex and see what happens there. But yeah, if you want to see more unboxings or maybe some first impressions or possibly eventually some playthroughs of Unmatched, definitely subscribe and hit the notifications so you'll see when those pop up. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.